Hello, I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
Welcome to the podcast. It's game night, it's sibling rivalry, it's a walk down memory lane, but most importantly, it's politics free.
Guaranteed.
Welcome to round 5 of Pando. Here's how it works. We have a set of cards. On each one is written 3 personal questions. For example, one card asks, do I like my job? What animal do I look like? And how old was I when I started walking? First, I'll ask Ryan 3 questions pertaining to me, and he'll have to answer each one correctly, earning 1 point per correct answer and a bonus point for getting all 3 correct. Then we'll switch it around, and it'll be my turn. Whoever scores the most points wins the ever-coveted Gloating Rights Trophy.
Until we play again.
Excellent. And for the record, I do like my job. According to an AI face test that I took on the internet, I look like a chic cat, and I do not know when I started walking. My mother has told me this before, and I can't remember what she said.
It was 4. You started walking when you were 4.
At the age of 4, I started walking.
Yep, you were late
and
bloomer.
Ryan just started walking last year.
No, shut your mouth. I started walking before you, and I was running laps around you when I was 11 months old.
Should I text Mom and fact check that right now, you think? Or what do you think?
Yeah. You know what? Let's find out. Let's find out if I started walking before you.
I think you probably were walking before me.
Probably.
Let's see. Here, I'll ask Mom. What age was I when I started walking, comma, how about Ryan?
Period. Question mark. Because I know how punctuation works.
I spoke the first half of the text and typed the second half for some reason. Let's move on. We'll find out what she says, but we're not going to wait for her. We'll interject it.
For the record, Heather,
Mm-hmm.
I, too, like my job. And I think it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. I look like an orangutan.
I don't know why I didn't think of that. We are the orangutans.
Orangutans? Is that how you say it? I always
Orangutan.
say orangutan. I say orangutan. I don't even care.
I used to always say orangutan, and then I saw how it was written, and I was like, well, there's no tang in there. So I stopped saying orangutan, and I started saying orangutan.
Hey, Siri.
Orangutan.
How do you pronounce orangutan?
Okay, I found this on the web for how do you pronounce orangutan. Check it out.
I'm sorry, that wasn't even anywhere.
Orangutan. Orangutan.
Orangutan.
Orangutan.
Whatever.
We were wrong. We were wrong all our lives, and now we know. Listen, quick reminder or new information if you didn't listen to last week's episode, Ryan could get an additional point that I did not award him in that episode. So make sure you email me or message me on Instagram. Here's the situation. Ryan thinks that dipping cookies in coffee with a little bit of cream in it is the same thing as dipping your cookies in a glass of milk. Now, if you agree with him, let me know. If you agree with me, which is that it is not the same thing, let me know. Email address is thepoliticsfreepodcast@outlook.com and Instagram message at thepoliticsfreepodcast. Also, we will use Ryan's survey results that he did, those 2 surveys. And we'll tell you the results next week. What, Ryan? What?
I would like to add to that that I looked at the ingredients of Heather's creamer that she uses, and it includes milk in the ingredients.
And I would like to ask you a quick question before we get into it.
What's up?
Let's say you were visiting me at my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to you, Ryan, would you like something to drink? And you said, why, yes, Heather, I'd like milk, please. And I brought you a steaming hot cup of coffee with a little bit of cream in it. I'm pretty sure that's not what you asked for.
I'd be like, oh, there's milk in this. Thank you, Heather. This is exactly what I wanted.
The hell you would. All right. Let's get into this game. Once again, it's called Pando. Oh, wait a minute. Answer from Mom.
You started walking before me, didn't you?
I really did. You were 12 months. Ryan was 15 months.
Wow. Honestly, I think we both started walking late.
12 months is not late. That's actually that's on the early-ish side.
Both my kids started walking before 12 months.
Then they were early walkers. Both my kids started walking at the 18-month mark, which is the longest you want it to take, like any longer. And it's like, let's take them to a doctor and find out what's going on.
Ah.
So
Interesting.
That was fun. I might be exaggerating a little bit there.
Oh, okay.
All right. Once again, the game we're about to play, that we're finally getting to, is called Pando. That's Pando. It was created by Pando and is available at playpando.com. Link in the show notes. They are not a sponsor. The current running score is Ryan, 20, with a possibility of 21, and Heather, 24. Ryan, are you ready for your cards?
I'm ready.
Excellent. Do I cheat when I play board games?
Most of the time, no. But if you're playing with me, you do. Or when you're playing with your kids, you do.
I mean, I'll give you half a point for that answer. And here's why. I don't cheat when I'm with my kids. If anything, I'll purposefully lose to make it go faster so
That's
I can
cheating.
Finish. Fine, I'll give you a point. My answer I was thinking of was I don't typically cheat when I play board games unless I'm playing with Dad, in which case I will cheat as many times as possible because he is the cheatingest cheater of all cheaters in any game.
Listen, here's something I learned from Dad while playing Clue. Okay? If I can sit there and look over in your general direction and see your cards, I am jotting down my clues on my thing. Because that's on you.
Fair enough.
And the kids are constantly paranoid with me when we're playing any sort of game that involves cards because they like to call me Snail Eyes. I'm like, it's not Snail Eyes if you're showing me your cards.
Can I tell you, I got this little Go Fish special extra big card set for Holly, and so we were playing a lot of Go Fish. And she was kicking my butt every single time. Every single time. Just kicking my butt. I was like, dang.
You were
how
sitting
did she
behind
win?
a mirror, weren't you?
The light was shining through my cards and she could see them. And here's my little 7-year-old, a complete card cheat. I was so ashamed of her. And I didn't find it out until we switched spots and she was sitting with the bathroom behind her and the light in the bathroom was on. And I could see all her cards. I was like, I just figured out why she's been skunking me in every game. Little cheater.
Awesome. Good job, Holly.
All right, next question. I'm single and ready to mingle. Name a trait that would be a deal breaker in my search for a date.
So, if someone was just stinky constantly, would that be a trait?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone who's stinky constantly.
I award you the point. Hygiene.
Bad hygiene.
Bad hygiene. Exactly. Yeah. You've got to have good hygiene. If I get a whiff, it's over. Forget it. I took this to such an extent that, okay, I'll admit it right now. On our first date, I made Mike, in an enclosed space, we were inside a car, take off his shoes so that I can make sure he did not have stinky feet.
Wow.
No. He was I was like, can you take your shoe off?
Your shoes? Thank you. All right.
I did.
I need you to breathe in my general direction. Okay, you're good. Lift your armpit.
I could tell because we'd already been close. I could tell that he didn't have bad breath or BO, but I needed to know about the feet. I just needed to know. And he had the decency not to make me also take my shoes off and prove to him that my feet didn't stink. So he's better than me. I admit it. Let's move on.
I forget what movie it was, but I think it was an Eddie Murphy movie. And he ends up hooking up with this girl. And the next morning, he sees her feet and they're all mangled and he nopes out of the room. And then he ends up getting with this other girl. And the first time they hook up, he's all paranoid, pulling the sheets back to look at her feet to make sure they weren't all mangled.
You know
and when
what?
he sees the beautiful feet, he's sigh of relief.
mangled feet, not even a deal breaker. If they're stinky mangled feet, I'm out.
Sure, for sure.
All right. Ryan, what is the most dangerous thing I have ever done?
I'm sure you've told me a story. Speeding.
I'll give it to you. I could not think of anything actually dangerous I've done in my whole life. And then when you said that, I went, yeah, I did used to go past the top of the speedometer constantly. I didn't even know how fast I was going. It was just off the top, like, Mah. So that's probably dangerous.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
I think the fastest I've ever driven is like 100 miles per hour. And that was like on a long, straight road in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, yeah, no, curves don't stop me. You should have Mom tell you about the time I drove her down Red Prairie Road. Red Prairie Road has numerous right angle turns, like a 90-degree angle turns. And we took one of those turns so fast that the car tipped up on its wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so thankful that Mom was in the car with me and not Dad for this, because she just grabbed that little the coat hanger thing that she just grabbed it and went
and threw her body to the side.
She just, and then as we finally landed, instead of tipping, which was great, she was like, "You should slow down on this road, Heather."
Oh my God. Oh, that is amazing. That's such a mom reaction too. God, if I did that with Dad in the car, he would be freaking out.
He would make me pull over and get out, and he would drive the rest of the way. That's how that would have gone.
I made Dad cry one of the first times I went driving with him. And it's when I crashed the car into the garage door. So you remember our driveway, how came around like that little embankment and then went downhill into the garage?
Mm-hmm.
So I was coming around there a little bit too fast. And Dad goes, "Hit the brakes, 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 brakes." And I panicked and I hit the gas. And I just blasted through the closed garage door. Come to a screeching halt once I finally figure out where the brake is. And the garage door just crumbles and slams into the windshield and just cracks it across. And glass just little splatters of glass hit us in the face. And Dad's got this little cut on his nose. And he's just sitting there white knuckling it. And then he puts his face into his hands and he goes, and I felt like the biggest shithead in the world.
Oh my God.
I have never made Dad cry except for that one time.
I've never made him cry ever, so that's impressive. Quite impressive. That's better than the time I backed into James's vehicles 3 consecutive days. I believe I've already told that story on the podcast. Yeah. But anyway, that's way worse. All right. So you got 4 points on that. Let's hit me with my first cards, which, as a reminder for you, Ryan, where it says Heather's cards is where you want to read from. Okay.
Do I consider myself a lucky person?
I think you do, in general.
I do not.
What?
I am very unlucky. Very unlucky. Well, okay, I'm not very unlucky, but I think more commonly, I don't think I have any luck, and when I do, it's bad luck, and very rarely good luck. However, I will say that I did win the Powerball a few weeks ago, won $9, and that was awesome.
Nicely done. I almost died right then. I was like, how much did he fucking win? Because you're giving me some.
When I scanned it, it was like, you won $9. So I was like, cool, well, I'll just buy more lottery tickets. And then I come back, because they got, I don't know if you've seen those automated machines that they have now.
Yeah.
So you could just roll the money back right into the lottery. And then I came back and I was like, babe, guess what? She's like, what? I was like, we just won the Powerball. Heads whip over. She's like, and I was like, we won $9. And everyone's like, oh my God, this guy.
Dad being a dad.
All right. Can I tie a cherry stem into a knot with my tongue?
No.
I have done it before, but I can't do it consistently. I mean, I can. If I try hard enough, I can do it.
All right, fine. Moving on.
And Heather, in grade school, was I disruptive in class?
Yes, 1 point for me. That's all I got on that
I never disruptive. Not a single time. I was an angel. We are now tied.
No. No, my friend. You don't get to lie your way out of that point. I get a point for that. Nice try, though.
I'll give it to you.
Thanks. Ryan,
Yes?
does it take me forever to choose a movie to watch?
If you're anything like me, I'm going to say yes.
Correct.
Nice!
Have I ever used a dating website or app?
Not a single time.
Correct. Was I breastfed?
Yes, you were!
Yes, only very briefly. It didn't last long, but I guess since I was at least 1 or 2 times, I have to give you that.
How many miles per hour over the speed limit do I typically drive?
Well, I think this is a complicated answer, Ryan, because we did have a discussion one time with your eco-friendly car where you explicitly explained to me that you would drive 5 miles below the speed limit to keep it at that 50-mile-an-hour range. However, I think if you have a typical gas car, you're going to be 5 to 10 miles above the posted speed limit.
Yes, that is true.
Thank you.
And Heather, am I a good liar?
Ryan, I think that you might think that you are, but I think generally you are not a very good liar. Maybe sometimes you can get away with it, but generally not.
Heather, I will tell you right now that I know I'm not a good liar.
Good.
And have I ever vandalized private property?
Yes, you have.
I have not vandalized private property, Heather. How dare you?
You didn't egg one of your friend's cars? TP somebody's house? None of that?
I've never TP'd anybody's house, and I did egg a person's car. But I egged my own car, so that cancels it out.
Not for this game, it doesn't. 1 point for me, plus a bonus. Boom, 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 in your face. Now, let's total up the score for this round.
You're 1 point ahead of me, Heather. Guess who's catching up?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Guess who won this round?
7,
Gotch! This guy did.
8. So, okay, yeah, you got 8. Okay. Ryan, 8. Heather, 5. Oh, you killed me in this round. Which brings the total running score to...
Oh, I'm ahead!
28, Ryan. 30, Heather.
Oh, I'm not ahead!
Now it's time for research inspired by this week's game. And I thought, you know what? Let's do some tips on how to choose a movie for people like you and me, Ryan, who take forever to pick a movie. So there are a few things you can do to help speed the process. 1, download and use a movie choosing app, such as Taste or Just Watch, and many others in that category. 2.
Heather.
What?
Are those sponsors?
No, they're not sponsors.
Oh, okay.
I wish that they were. 2, use the shuffle feature in your streaming app. When you use the feature, so like I know Netflix has this, you hit the shuffle and then it just pops up something and it uses its algorithm to pick something it thinks you might like based on your viewing history and the way you've rated movies, right? But my advice for this is actually watch what comes up, no matter what it is. Watch it for a few minutes, like 5-10 minutes, and only skip if you fail to become interested in that amount of time. Because it might be good. It might be good.
Okay.
All right. I used the following process that I devised a couple of days ago to pick a movie within about 5 minutes, which is not bad because I usually spend 45 minutes and then end up using all my time and not watching anything. But here's what I did. I was in the mood for a thriller. So I went to the Netflix, I went to the movies, thrillers, right? And I just clicked on one, watched the preview. I said, that looks interesting. I went to IMDb and I looked at the rating. And if the rating's 7 or higher on IMDb, I will watch it. So I went through about 3 or 4 like that. And I don't watch the whole preview. I only watch enough to see if the preview makes it look interesting to me. So that is another thing you could do. For the record, the movie I watched was The Platform, and it was actually pretty decent.
Oh, you finally watched The Platform.
I finally did. All right, now, here's a few more tips from Mental Floss. 9 smart ways to always pick the right movie. 1. If you're stressed, go with a comedy. 2. Got heart disease? Stay away from horror. 3. Feeling lucky? Netflix shuffle like we talked about. 4. Steer clear of harrowing/news documentaries, and you will feel happier. 5. Pick family films you wouldn't mind your children seeing. That one just seems like common sense. 6. Obviously, Mental Floss has a couple of sponsors like suggestmemovie.com and 7. agoodmovietowatch.com. Or 8. kidspickflix.com. And 9. Encourage your older children to watch fantasy because of a study that shows that kids who watch Harry Potter do better on tests for some reason. So there you go. Oh, also, last but not least, here's something you could also try. If there is not a movie that you've been waiting for that you know you want to see already, use your time to do something else other than watch a movie, like read a book or catch up on something that you've been meaning to do or clean something. Now, it's time for stories inspired by today's episode. Now, before we get into these, of course, we'd always love to hear your stories, your opinions, weigh in on the arguments. Send us emails, thepoliticsfreepodcast@outlook.com, or message us or comment on our posts on Instagram @thepoliticsfreepodcast. So today we are going to Reddit, and I just searched the actual question from the card, what is the most dangerous thing you've ever done? From Jen Jones' mom. Heroin.
Oh.
Yeah. From a deleted account, referred to my wife as a lipsticked moose while she was holding a frying pan. From a deleted account, a friend and I used to get drunk and drive around out in the country. I had an Oldsmobile Cutlass station wagon at the time with a luggage rack on top. We'd get the car up to around 60, wait for a straightaway. Is that what it's called? Just a straight stretch of road.
Yeah.
And flip on the cruise control. The driver would crawl out the window and onto the roof using the luggage rack as a grip, as the passenger took control of the steering wheel and switched seats. The original driver, now on the roof, would drop back in through the passenger window. We used to race and see how many times we could do it in a row without stopping. It's amazing we didn't get ourselves or someone else killed. Yes, it sure is.
Oh my God. That
Those
sounds
guys
like
are
fun.
both, they're both stunt doubles now. That's how they make their living right there. From Attacking Hobo. Tried to catch an arrow. I have a scar in the middle of my hand now. And the reply to this post, seems like you caught it.
Unless it went all the way through.
Well, maybe it stopped and then he did catch it. All right, we are going to wrap up here with our question of the week. Ryan, hit me with your best shot.
What's something about you today that the old you would find surprising?
And by the old you, I think we mean the younger you. What's something about you today that the younger you would find surprising?
But like, how much younger? Like early 20s you? 18 you?
It could be
10-year-old
It could be
you?
yesterday. You were younger yesterday. Something can happen in 24 hours that you go, look, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, I do have an answer for this.
Okay.
I have been avidly reading nonfiction books to try to learn things about the world.
Mm-hmm.
I actually care about current events, which we won't talk about here because we don't do that here, but I care. And every time I hit a topic that's new in the news, I tend to read a few books about it. Shoot back even 8 to 10 years ago. And if I knew this was coming, I was going to be that interested in reading nonfiction and finding things out. My 32-year-old mind would be blown by that. And my teenage mind would be like, that's not even me in the future. This is someone else. Who is this? Because I have never cared until recently about any of that stuff and just found it boring. Like the books I read now, I would have found boring as hell. Like as a kid.
Yeah.
So I've been switching from like avid reading of only fiction to almost entirely nonfiction. But luckily, the library bingo this summer made me read a couple of fiction books. And so now I've been reading a little more fiction, but still a ton of nonfiction in there. Still a ton.
Nice.
What about you? Do you have something about you today that an earlier version of yourself would find surprising?
I think 18-year-old me would probably be surprised that I actually got a decent career.
Interesting.
Just
because you thought you were going nowhere? Or?
I did. I thought I was stuck in the old BFE town that we grew up in. I was pretty sure I was going to be stuck there. Had been getting into some trouble and couldn't get a job that was more than minimum wage. Like the lumber mills was like where the good work was at.
Mm-hmm.
But every single one of them wanted a minimum of 5 years of experience anytime they were hiring. So it was like, well, how do I score that gig with no experience?
How do you get experience in lumber mills if they don't let anybody in who doesn't have experience?
I don't know. It's a great question.
Well, and that's a question that we can contemplate another time because it's time to wrap it up for today. But before we do, just a couple things. First of all, 2-3 episodes back or something, I talked about our South American explosion and I welcomed all these countries to the podcast and it was great.
They stopped listening.
No, they didn't. Well, Argentina didn't. We love you, Argentina. It's possible others didn't as well. So don't get mad if you're still listening and I left you out. But one country I should have mentioned and didn't. Because they're our second country. Okay, first of all, let me back up. I get my podcast statistics, analytics from a couple of different places because these things are notoriously difficult to track and figure out. So when I was welcoming all these countries, I was looking at one source for that information and I didn't go look at the other source. So France, welcome France. Bienvenue, mes amis, mon ami, whatever. My French is bad. Please don't leave me. But they are the second country after the United States. So we have listenership in the United States, which I think understandably is the highest. And then next after that is France. France is the our next biggest country. So welcome, France. And then over the last week, we have had a European explosion. Ooh. Welcome, Spain, Italy, Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands. And also welcome, Dominican Republic and Japan.
Nice.
Yes, I'm loving it. We're getting people from all over the world listening. I'm super jazzed about it. And hey, if you have been enjoying the podcast, share it with someone. Tell one person this week about it. We would love it if you would. Ryan's laughing. Why?
Oh, we would be jazzed if you would.
Did I say jazzed?
You did. You said jazzed.
You know why? Because I've been listening to a lot of True Crime and Cocktails, and Lauren Ash always used the word jazz. I'm just copying her. Back it up. Back it up. We would be pleased as punch if you would share this podcast. Thank you so much.
Punch.
Pleased as punch, darlings. Until we play again. No, that's too abrupt. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great week. Until we play again.
Until we play again.